You can listen to The Front on your smart speaker every morning. To hear the latest episode, just say, play the news from The Australian.
From The Australian, here's what's on the front. I'm Claire Harvey. It's Tuesday, June 18. The family of murder victim Linette Sims have launched an impassioned defence of Lynn's Law, a no-body, no-parole law designed to keep her killer, Chris Dawson, behind bars unless he reveals what he did with Lynn's remains. A campaign supported by wrongly convicted women Kathleen Folbig and Lindy Chamberlain is demanding a repeal of the New South Wales law. But Greg and Marilyn Sims say the families of homicide victims deserve certainty. The Coalition would scrap offshore wind projects in Australia. Nationals leader David Littleproud says renewables must be on rooftops, where the environment can't be destroyed. It comes after Labor declared an offshore wind zone 20 kilometres off the Illawarra coast in New South Wales. Chinese officials have attempted to block an Australian journalist at a press conference in Parliament House, with visiting Chinese Premier Li Qiang and Anthony Albanese. Extraordinary scenes unfolded as Australian officials physically blocked the Chinese personnel from obstructing Qiang, who spent nearly 3 years in a Chinese jail and now works at Sky News Australia. Anthony Albanese said he didn't see what was going on.
Look, I'm not aware of those issues. It's important that people be allowed to participate fully, and that's what should happen in this building or anywhere else in Australia.
The visit is a big deal for Australia, with Premier Li saying the relationship is on the right track and announcing Australian nationals will be allowed to enter China for holidays or work without needing a visa. That story's live now at theaustralian.com.au. Bruce Lehrmann will fight to have sexual assault charges against him thrown out of court. Media organisations were booted out of court in Toowoomba on Monday when a complainant alleged Lehrmann sexually assaulted her in 2021. Today, why Lehrmann is arguing there's no case to answer.
I'm buzzing this morning. I've been up since the crack of dawn.
Those were the words spoken by Bruce Lehrmann as he made his way into the Toowoomba Magistrate's Court on Monday morning. They're being read by a voice actor.
Hey Bruce, what happened that night?
The former Liberal staffer was surrounded by a media scrum that had descended on the Queensland city.
Do you defend the charges?
Where's Peter Costello when you need him?
Lehrmann was referring there to a physical altercation between the former Nine chairman and a reporter from The Australian at Canberra Airport. Leah Mendes was knocked to the ground while trying to question Costello about allegations of bullying and harassment at the TV network. 29-year-old Lehrmann is charged with 2 counts of rape relating to an incident that's alleged to have happened in his hometown, Toowoomba, in October 2021. He's yet to formally enter a plea, but will defend the charges. It was Lehrmann's first appearance in these proceedings. He came with a silk, Andrew Hall KC, who's gone in with an aggressive approach. He'll be arguing the whole matter should be thrown out after what unfolded on Monday. Laws in place in Queensland prior to October 3 meant people accused of sexual assault couldn't be named until a matter was committed to trial. Committal is a process in a lower court where the evidence is tested. If the magistrate believes the case should proceed, it goes to a higher court where it's heard before judge and jury. Lehrmann's lawyers fought his identification for weeks after the law was scrapped, but the Queensland Supreme Court allowed him to be named.
A high-profile person charged with 2 counts of rape in the regional Queensland city of Toowoomba can finally be named as former Liberal Party staffer Bruce Lehrmann.
Toowoomba Courthouse isn't typically known for these sorts of high-profile cases.
Mackenzie Scott is a reporter with The Australian. She was in Toowoomba for the hearing.
So the public gallery only had 16 seats and they were full almost immediately. So we had people fitting 5 to a row of 4. We had people standing in the middle of the courtroom at the back. We had people sitting on the floor. It was quite a sight to see. I don't think these courtrooms are really set up for these types of notorious cases.
News organisations, including News Corp Australia, which publishes The Australian, Nine and the ABC applied to be present while the complainant, a 28-year-old woman, gave evidence. She was cross-examined by counsel for Lehrmann, giving evidence over about an hour. A barrister for the news outlets, Jessica Goldie, argued it was important for journalists to hear the complainant's evidence so it could be accurately reported.
It's an important fundamental proposition to our legal system. This matter is a unique case which has attracted a high degree of national interest in media coverage. There is therefore a high public interest in the matter.
But Lehrmann's defence lawyer, Andrew Hoare, and Crown Prosecutor Nicole Friedwald both opposed the application. Both said they were concerned the details of the complainant's evidence-in-chief and cross-examination would make it easy for her to be identified.
So obviously, in these sort of matters, the law does protect a complainant coming forward, so to encourage others to come forward in these sorts of cases. Our legal representation did put forward alternatives, saying we could be in a separate courtroom as she gave her evidence via video link, or we could be obscured from view. But both the Crown and the defence were concerned about privacy and the fact that she may be identified via the evidence that she was providing.
Magistrate Mark Howden ultimately blocked the application, meaning members of the media, including Mackenzie, were sent out of the courtroom while the complainant gave her evidence.
So it was frustrating for journalists not to be in the room as the complainant gave her evidence, but I think it was largely expected. Queensland courts have lacked transparency in the past, and this matter does go par for the course of what to expect when covering these sorts of cases in Queensland.
Magistrate Howden acknowledged the high degree of public interest in this case and accepted the principle of open justice, but he said it doesn't overrule the complainant's right to privacy in a proceeding like this.
So it was all very quick. We were in there by 2 and out of there by 2:10 p.m. Basically, once we got back in the room, Mr Lehrmann's barrister, Andrew Hoare KC, told the court that they would be making a submission to basically say there is no case to move forward to trial. Mr Lehrmann's defence did say that the 12-page submission would have some density and it would highlight the insufficient evidence within Queensland Police's case.
Behind closed doors, the complainant laid out her allegations against Bruce Lehrmann. Charges were first laid in January 2023. According to police documents, the complainant heard about allegations against Bruce Lehrmann by Brittany Higgins. That prompted the Toowoomba woman to identify Lehrmann as the man she had a sexual encounter with in October 2021. The matter heard on Monday in Toowoomba is unrelated to the earlier allegation and the proceedings that have unfolded in the years since. In this matter, the complainant says she met Lehrmann at a strip club in 2021, where he introduced himself as Bryce. Toowoomba is Lehrmann's hometown, and it's believed he was staying with his mother when this incident is alleged to have occurred. He was on bail at the time, having just appeared in court over an allegation made by Brittany Higgins that he raped her in Parliament House in early 2019. That trial was sensationally aborted in late 2022.
Good evening. In an extraordinary turn of events, the rape trial of former Liberal staffer Bruce Lehrmann has been aborted after a juror's misconduct was discovered by a court sheriff.
That's when Bruce Lehrmann sued Network 10 and Wilkinson for defamation. The allegation made by Brittany Higgins was found, on the balance of probabilities, to be true by Justice Michael Lee in the federal court defamation proceedings brought by Lehrmann against Network 10 and presenter Lisa Wilkinson. The complainant in the Toowoomba matter says she had consensual sex with Lehrmann on the night they met and twice the next morning, but that he failed to use a condom despite her expectation that he do so. She says she never consented to unprotected intercourse, and if her allegation is proven, it's technically considered rape under Queensland law. Colloquially, it's called stealthing, and it was formally criminalised in Queensland in March as part of sweeping reforms to the way allegations of sexual assault and coercive control are treated by the justice system. Coming up, Bruce Lehrmann's bid to get the whole matter thrown out. We'll be back after this break. So there's still lots of unanswered questions, aren't there, Mackenzie? You haven't been allowed to see the police brief of evidence. You haven't been allowed to hear the complainant's claims about what happened that night. So what do we know about what the magistrate's going to do in terms of committing this to trial or not?
The matter has been adjourned until July 4. At that time, we will reconvene and the submission put forward by the defence will be considered by the magistrate. The Crown will have to provide its response in writing by July 3. So we should, at that point, know whether or not this matter will proceed to a jury trial.
Bruce Lehrmann appears to have depleted his funds in the other legal actions that he's had on foot. He's now representing himself in the appeal in the federal court. He's got a KC in this case, which if he's paying those bills will already be running well into the multiple tens of thousands of dollars. How did he seem on his way out of court?
Those questions were put to him as he was leaving by waiting journalists, but there was no response from Mr Lehrmann at all. He just walked straight to his lawyer's car, and then as they were driving off, they beeped the horn and waved at journalists as they walked past.
It's quite an unusual scene, isn't it? Probably not what you were expecting when you went to cover a sexual assault matter this morning.
It was a bit surprising, but we know that this case was meant to be 3 hours and now we're going to 2 days. We keep getting curveballs thrown at us, so let's just see what happens when we come back next month. Mr Lehrmann won't have to be in the courtroom next time. He has been given permission to appear via video link or via telephone, so I don't expect we'll have this same sort of media circus again next time.
Mackenzie Scott is a journalist with The Australian. The Reserve Bank Board meets on Tuesday morning and is expected to hold the cash rate at 4.35% for a fifth consecutive month. You can follow the decision live at theaustralian.com.au.